Hello, and welcome to the Brighten Your Day podcast. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Hello, good morning, or good afternoon, or whatever time it is for you. Totally fine. So here's the thing. I feel like all of my solo episodes are just going to be what I'm learning because I haven't gone through enough life experiences to teach you really anything besides just through my own lens and what intrigues me and what my struggles are. And especially if you're my same age or similar age, you'll probably relate to the struggles that I've been having. And yeah, it's just all about navigation, how I'm navigating life and what I'm doing because of that. So, if you are on video, awesome. If not, we are in my home studio again. Yes, I know I'm usually outside. I'm usually a nature girl, an outside podcast person, but it has been so hot recently in Florida. I literally cannot bring myself to grab all of my gear and set up outside. I cannot bring myself to do it. I'm so sorry. So, when I travel back to Utah, I will try and do it outside as much as possible. This is what's interesting about this topic. We are talking about how to be creative, okay? And side note, I saw this super cute girl on YouTube. I can't even remember what she was talking about, but she did this super cute graphic with her journal where she like showed it to the camera and it was like all these drawings and stuff. And I'm like, that's so cute. I should do that for my podcast. So if you're on video, awesome. If not, totally fine. I'm going to be explaining everything. So this is a topic that I have been diving into a lot recently as I have been trying to make more music and trying to just express myself. I feel like with the rise of social media, with this day and age, there are a lot of people and a lot of things, content, music that are looking the same. And I have fallen victim to that. I totally am a trend surfer, and there's a lot of trends I just like, so I just participate in them, and that's totally fine. But over the course of a few months, I've realized like I don't have my personal creativity. I don't have my thing. This really sparked my interest. If you guys watched the Girls Night In episode that I just aired, it is confidence, everything confidence, right? My sister said something in there that was really interesting, and I've been trying it out for myself. She was talking about how she never asks other people what they're going to be wearing to an event because it dims her light and her creativity when it comes to like how she wants to express herself and how she wants to show up in the world. And I loved that because every single time that I am wanting to, I don't know, change things up, where am I going? I'm going to Pinterest. I'm asking my friends. I'm asking almost for approval to do the thing that I wanted to do in the first place, and then determining whether I do that thing or not on outside resources. And I don't like that, especially for you fellow creatives out there. That is something that you should really be in tune with, what you like, what your taste is, because that is the only, well, I guess not the only unique thing about you, but that is a unique quality, is what your taste is. And oh my gosh, another side note. My other sister, Kinley, said there was one time that she was creating a mood board and she was going to send this email out to her audience, which she's a yoga instructor, and she was going to send her email out on how to do a mood board. And instead of knowing how to do the mood board, because she had done mood boards like years and years before, she has done many mood boards, she knows exactly how to do them. Instead of trusting herself, she started looking on Pinterest on how to create a mood board, and she luckily caught herself and was like, what am I doing? I know how to do this. I should trust myself. Yet that really ties into creativity, okay? So this is how to be creative. The step-by-step guide that I made literally this morning because I had this just idea, and I'm gonna walk through it. And this is a disclaimer. Whether you are trying to create music like I am, or you're in a creative field or not, I believe every single person is creative and should be exploring those qualities about themselves, because I mean, my belief is creativity is born of God or source or universe. Like, those ideas are coming from heaven above or some sort of other realm, okay? There are times that like lightning will strike you with an idea and you know that that was being given to you for doing something, okay? No matter what field you're in, whether it's business or anything. I truly, actually, this is a huge topic. I believe that creativity has a lot to do with business, and business has a lot to do with creativity. If you have a problem in your business, what are you doing? You're trying to figure it out by coming up with creative ideas on how to get you out of X, Y, or Z, or marketing, especially. Marketing is hugely creative and that's very business oriented. So if you're watching this or listening to this, you don't have to be a quote unquote creative or in a creative field to benefit from this. Step one, I want you to change your beliefs on creativity, on what it is to be creative. This is what I'm really, really learning and trying to almost unlearn. I truly believe every single person is creative. And with the beliefs throughout creativity, I don't know about you, but I have struggled with what you call writer's block, okay? And writer's block can be with a whole bunch of different things. It doesn't actually have to be with writing, as we know. I have struggled with just feeling like something is blocking me from having free flowing ideas. And yet, if you guys don't know the book, The Creative Act by Rick Rubin, please check it out. It's incredible, especially the Audible version, actually, because he does like a meditative thing throughout reading the book on Audible, which I really liked. But he talks about this idea of your ideas are free flowing, okay? Your brain is never not having an idea throughout the day. You actually have thousands and thousands and thousands of thoughts if you actually sat there and listened to your thoughts. How could you have writer's block? Okay, your belief is in the writer's block instead of the belief that your ideas are free flowing, in which they always are. So, changing your beliefs on creativity, you are a creative person. You have something worth putting effort into and creating and putting an offering into the world, okay? Easier said than done, but it's a really interesting thing to think about. Okay, so with all those thousands and thousands of ideas that you have, now step two, I want you to capture those thoughts and those ideas, okay? We have so many thoughts and ideas throughout the day, and if you can make it a muscle memory of capturing that thought, you're not only going to get more inspired and more creative ideas, but you're also going to understand what you're feeling throughout the day, okay? Because a lot of us like to numb our thoughts and our feelings with other alternate resources. And as soon as you cut off those resources and you sit with yourself, you realize that your mind, that friend of yours in the back of your head, is always talking, always, whether it's positive thoughts or negative thoughts. And you can actually sit there and realize, oh, I've been having this negative thought pattern. But if you don't even allow yourself stillness to hear those thought patterns, it's just going to be in the back of your mind. All of those limiting beliefs are going to sit in the back of your mind instead. So, with this, I want to talk about how you can make it muscle memory and how there are many ways to capture ideas, okay? One of the basic ways is writing it down, journaling. I am a huge advocate for journaling. I think this has really sparked a lot of the creative juices, is just journaling. But let's take a step back from journaling. You want to know a super easy way to do this? The Notes app on your phone. Do you know how many notes I have on my phone? I treat it like a second journal. I have this whole page of business ideas, this whole page of cool lyrics ideas, and yet this has become a muscle memory thing for me to do, okay? It wasn't just all of a sudden I started pulling out my phone and doing it every single time. It was a conscious act of doing it, okay? So you can find whatever way to capture your thoughts. I even thought about like taking pictures, having a picture of something or seeing a tree that you think is beautiful and having a folder on your phone that you look at, or I don't know, drawing something could be cool. Could be a cool idea. I'm sure there's a lot of other ways, but this is where it goes into another portion. So with capturing your thoughts, it segues into the idea of stillness. And this isn't necessarily a step. This is a way of life. Just like the book says, a creative act, okay? Stillness is a way of life. And one of my sisters, she picks a word of the year every year to focus on. Mine happens to be stillness. So I feel very passionate about this topic and I could expand on it another time. But really, this is how you gain stillness so then you can breed creativity. Having good morning and night routines, okay? I know everyone's gonna say it, and I'm gonna say it probably 30 to 40 to 50 more times. Morning and night routines. You don't wanna know what's funny? I made my smartphone a dumb phone so I can become smart again. I'm not kidding you. I can even link the videos in the description of how I dumbed down my phone so it doesn't pull all of the creative juices out of me, okay? With having a dumb phone, it's so nice because when I wake up in the morning, I don't immediately check Instagram or immediately check texts even. I actually like to sit there even with a journal sometimes and do some morning pages, which I've talked about before. But it's just free flowing thought, letting those thoughts out of you, okay? Not stuff them down inside and then think that you have writer's block that you don't have because it doesn't exist. And also, this is such a side note, but it's so true. Do you ever wonder why so many creatives or your favorite artists out there don't have Instagram or social media or aren't exactly active in the way that you would think? It's because they know something that we all know. It sucks the creativity out of you. And I can just hear the comments right now, okay? I can hear them. Okay, but Brighton, you're on social media, you're posting, you're on YouTube, you're posting. Here's the thing. I also believe in marketing and I also have a business mind, okay? And also, on top of that, I used to create a lot of other types of content. And when I sat there and realized every time I listen to a podcast, okay, we'll say this. Every time I listen to a podcast, I actually don't feel less inspired. I usually feel more inspired. And that's the difference. That's the difference between scrolling on TikTok and making content, which I still make content sometimes, but like I never feel better after doom scrolling on TikTok or Instagram or even like Twitter. I never feel better. But there are a lot of times that I feel better listening to a podcast, okay? Even listening to a long form YouTube video about something that I'm interested in. And that's the difference between algorithms too, is on one end, short form algorithms, what do? They feed you content. Long form algorithms, yes, they'll feed you content, but you ultimately have a choice on clicking on that video or not. Clicking on it. That's the difference between scrolling through videos that are being fed to you and actively clicking on a video. I think there's actually a huge difference between that. Also, this is another thing that whether I thought about it or someone said this before, but I have regurgitated the thought. If you control the input, you can control your output. Okay? If you're trying to be creative in any way, shape, or form, you have to realize what you're putting into that noggin of yours, okay? Because when you're watching the news or something stressful, even like a scary show, whatever you're consuming day in and day out, it's being inputted into your brain whether you like it or not, and then you're re-spitting that out. Or it's numbing you so you can't have output of creativity. That was a lot of word vomit, but I hope that makes sense. So we're gonna segue back into step 3. This is all about the action, okay? Because action breeds confidence. And if there's one thing that I have learned in my 23 years of life, every time I'm acting on something instead of just talking about it, I always feel better. Always, always, always feel better. I can dream up something and talk about something and even write out my plan for something, but until I'm doing that thing, I don't have confidence to back it up. Also, this is another like Joe Dispenza type of thought, which I love him. I'm reading the book Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. It's a great book. But he basically talks about this idea of once you start believing and acting according to your goals, your life has no choice but to change. So, step 3. I call this the experimenting and repetition step or phase of your life. And this is the one you're going to be in for the rest of your life, okay? So you better enjoy it. This is one thing that Rick Rubin talks about with the creative act. He talks about changing things up. And just because one thing worked one time doesn't mean it's going to work every single time. And even if you're on this hamster wheel of, oh, well, this thing worked this one time, so it must work again and again and again, it's going to get boring. It's going to get boring for you and your audience if you're even putting your art out, but you don't have to put your art out for it to be creative and for it to be fulfilling. But yeah, he talks about this idea of experimenting. Like, okay, let's say you sit down and write a song in the morning. Okay, if it's not working anymore, maybe go on a walk in the morning and then sit down and try and write a song in the afternoon, or maybe do incremental steps of a song. I mean, obviously I'm talking about songs because, you know, this is how I'm trying to be creative. This is my creative outlet, but it's any way of life. This also segues back into the confidence episode that I did with my sisters called Girls Night In. If you have true confidence in your art and in your craft, you're going to be able to recreate yourself because you have confidence in yourself to figure it out. The artists and the people that stay the same and that are just doing the same thing over and over again, because they probably lack confidence in themselves, themselves to break free of that mold. And I mean, easier said than done. It's always easier said than done. Everything. I always feel like I have to reiterate that because I'm getting into teacher mode here. I'm such a researcher, okay? I'm a researcher on life. So this is just stuff that I have learned and I'm giving to you, but I don't know it all. So also with experimentation, I've really been dabbling into fashion lately and just expressing myself, okay? I dyed some of my hair pink. I have been wearing more abstract clothing. I've been wearing more jewelry, which is funny because I just realized I don't even have my rings on my finger, which I usually have a bunch of rings on my finger. But I feel like when you're putting out into the world and you're showing the world that you are trying to be yourself, you are expressing yourself, you also feel that internally. You feel that creative fire internally. Maybe it's just me that feels that way. And lastly, this is a big one, big last, and one that I think I'm going to end on because it's not just for you, but it's a message to myself. I watched this podcast episode with John Bellion on YouTube. I can link it below. I think the guy's name is Janko. I actually don't even know the show, which that's embarrassing because it was a really good podcast and I will probably listen to them again. But I will link the info below. John Bellion is an incredible artist and musician and creative. If you don't know him, you should check him out. He's gonna have a new album soon, which I'm so excited about. But this is what he was trying to bring home in the podcast, but not even what he was trying to bring home. This is just what he believes in, and I fully believe in it as well, and I want to try and emulate this. He talks about making music. He does it every single day because of the love of it. He gets to do it every day because he loves it. No one's forcing him to do it. It's just fun for him, and that is it. Okay. And yes, it's so cool to make money and be successful off of your art. And he touches on that. But at the end of the day, even if he was making no money, he would still be creating that thing because it's that thing inside of him that wants to create that thing, right? But I think with anything in life, it's the cliche of it's all about the journey, okay? It's all about the journey. When you get to that thing, when you're that rich, when you're that successful, you realize all along that it was all about that journey. So if you can sit there and realize that in the way in which you're being creative, if you are loving it every single day, that's what matters. That's what matters, is doing it for the love of it and not for anything else. You want to know what's something crazy? I have been trying to think about what I want my solo episode to be, and I've had a few different ideas, but nothing stuck out to me, and I was just like, oh, maybe I won't make one. I don't know what to talk about. And yeah, I had in the back of my mind, okay, Brighton, if you can believe that there will be something that will hit you so hard to talk about, and that all of your worries about this will dissipate, if you can just be still and sit there and yeah, really be in tune. I practiced that belief this week. And literally the morning that I'm supposed to film something, the morning of, it's like lightning struck me. And I came up with this whole thing on my journal because I had that belief in myself that it was going to happen. And I'm happy about that. I'm happy about practicing that. And yeah, I hope me wearing my heart on my sleeve and showing up every single week is valuable for you, like it is valuable for me to share my thoughts and my feelings, because sometimes it's harder than other times to show up, especially on the internet, but I have this innate desire to share. Let me know if you liked the Girls Night In segment. I truly had such a good time. Follow the podcast, Instagram, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and go create something today. That's my challenge to you. Go create. Until next time. Bye.